Hello. Please join me as I share some insights that my younger selves hadn't been able to see. Then you can tell me, is this wisdom or is it the illusion of wisdom? I learned to read when I was 4 years old. You can easily give your children or grandchildren that same enormous head start. Keep watching. Hello everyone. I hope everyone's still doing well. I consider myself extremely fortunate to have English as a mother tongue. Why? Let's try an experiment. We'll ask Deeple to translate the French word grand into Spanish. Grandioso, grand, magnifico, excelente, grande, variado. 6 words. Now, let's see what the English translation looks like. Large, great, grand, wide, huge, extensive, significant, tall, tremendous, big, high, major, important, vast, considerable, ample, generous, bodacious. 20 words. To be fair, some of those do have French words that match more closely. Not to disparage French or Spanish, the sound of French is beautiful. Ask Pepe Le Pew.
The sweet nothings, the sweet somethings.
And Spanish is so precise. I can read a word in Spanish that I've never seen before and have a pretty good idea of how to pronounce it. That said, our little experiment there shows that English clearly stands out in size of vocabulary. Because English has borrowed freely from so many other languages for such a long time, English has become an extremely rich and complex language. This richness of vocabulary has made English unexcelled in its ability to express fine shades of meaning. But that very richness of English tends to make it very difficult to fully master in all its subtleties. If you're a French speaker learning English, which of those 20 words is just the right one? The converse is not true. For nearly all of those words, when speaking French, you're probably okay to use grand. There are a few cases where a single English word translates to multiple words in another language. And yes, I'll tell you from first-hand experience that this makes it very difficult to know which one to use. Our English word for example, translates to either por or para in Spanish, depending on just what the for is for. With my broken Spanish, I almost understand which one to use. So because English has so many words like that mean almost but not quite the same thing, I sympathize with anyone learning English as other than a first language. Those for whom I have less sympathy are those whose first language is English, but misuse it anyway. I say to educators and professional writers in particular, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I can't watch a newscast or read a paper these days without catching several errors of grammar, spelling, or simply using a wrong word. How often do you hear a phrase like, they found her laying there? Really? What was she laying? A recent article in the Canadian Homesteader stated that the upcoming Mars helicopter would make a series of short stories. Fascinating. But what about its sorties? It started to atrophy, the noun, instead of atrophy, the verb. Spell checkers help, but they don't do much good when you use story for sortie or lay for lie. Lay is a transitive verb. It affects something, an egg or a carpet, for example. Lie is intransitive. It just lies there. One major confusion factor is that one of these words is a past tense of the other. Lay, as in he lay there bleeding, is the past tense of lie. So yes, our grammar can be complicated. Pronunciation, too, can be pretty mysterious in English, but there are ways to make it less so. My parents taught me to read when I was 4 years old. By the time I got to grade 1, I was enjoying the jokes in the Saturday Evening Post, while my classmates were struggling with See Jane Run. By the time I was 7, I had read through the entire children's book of knowledge and had started a lifetime of reading good science fiction. The good news is that any child of average intelligence, your own children or your grandchildren, for example, can be given that same head start by learning just a couple of basic rules. I learned to read by sounding out words. Granted, a phrase like Lieutenant Colonel would have baffled me, but by and large, knowing how to sound out words gave me a wonderful head start. Knowing some simple rules for sounding out words could also come in handy if you're learning English as a second or nth language. So with such enormous rewards on offer, please stay with me as I explain these 2 simple pronunciation rules. Rules that seem to be increasingly forgotten. Do you know the general rule that makes fat into fate or dim into dime? To illustrate, let me make up some nonsense words and apply these two rules to them. How would you pronounce these? Did you figure it out? Now I'm going to apply those two simple rules to all of them to come up with a good guess as to how they should be pronounced. Key, ket, keet, kef, kefet, kefit. Here are the rules. Rule 1. If a vowel is followed by nothing or a consonant-vowel sequence, the vowel is long. Otherwise, it's short. You probably already know what long and short vowels are, but please bear with me for another moment as we bring aboard those who may not. Except for that pesky sometimes Y, a long vowel says its own name. A as in date, E as in seat, I as in mine, O as in rope, U as in uniform. Short vowels are pronounced A as in rat, E as in get, I as in hit, A as in bottom, and A as in bunch. Rule 2. An E at the end of a word is usually silent unless it's the only vowel in the word. That's it. There are plenty of exceptions and a few additional rules, such as how to pronounce letters followed by H, but those two basic rules will let the learner recognize in print a huge number of the words that are already in his or her spoken vocabulary, even when as young as 4. Let's look at the details of how these apply to our nonsense words. Key. The E is not silent because it's the only vowel in the word, and it's long because there's no consonant following it. Ket. No vowel after the T, so the E is pronounced E. Keet. There is a vowel after the T, so the first E is pronounced E. Kef. The H following the P is not a vowel, so the E is still E. Kefet. Neither E is followed by a consonant vowel sequence, so they're both short. Kefet. Kafit. The first E short, second one long, third one silent. Do you see why? It's of great concern to me that by not teaching these ideas to very young people, not only are we depriving them of tremendous opportunities, but also that we're rapidly eroding that unique and powerful ability of the English language to express ideas with such great precision. Let me wrap up with a few comments on some common variants of our English language. The Brits say rubbish, we Canadians say garbage, and Americans say trash. We say grade 1, Americans say first grade. With our French heritage, we say semi or anti, while Americans say semi or anti. That one puzzles me, because American English is strongly influenced by Spanish, where the vowel I is always pronounced E. Any ideas on that? This has been fun, as always. I look forward to your comments. If you enjoyed this, if you learned something from it, I'd appreciate you helping me out to keep making more of these videos. For as little as $1 per video, you can become a patron. You can withdraw your patronage at any time. Please head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/vidgigslive and check out the awards on offer there and sign up. As always, thanks for watching and feel free to join the discussion in the comments. Until next time.